See, the word percentage comes from a French word called cent. Cent means 100. So calculating any value per 100 is called percentage. Calculating any value per 100 is called percentage. Now see what happens in percentage. Basic चीजें आपको पता होंगी, but let's start from the very scratch. See, suppose if I have a percent value. Suppose if I have a percent value and now I want to convert this a percent value to fraction. Right? Suppose if I have a percent value, I want to convert this a percent value to fraction. Right? So whenever we want to convert a percentage value to its fractional equivalent, we will divide that value with 100. Whenever we want to convert a percentage value, right, to fraction, we divide that percentage value with 100. For example, let's say if I have a 35% value, now I want to represent this 35% in terms of fraction. So what I will do, I'll divide this 35 with 100. Now you know that in a fraction, any value that is common would get cancelled out. So ये 5 से कितनी बार cancel होगा? 7 times, this 20 times. So the simplest representation of 35% in terms of fraction would be 7 by 20. Now let's say if I have a fraction a by b. If I have a fraction a by b and now I want to represent this fraction a by b in terms of percentage. We know this very well. Any value that can be represented in form of a by b is called fraction. So let's say we have a fractional value a by b and now we want to represent this fractional value in terms of percentage. So remember that whenever we want to convert a fraction to percentage, we multiply that value with 100. Whenever we want to convert a fraction to percentage, we multiply that value with 100. For example, let's say if I have a fractional value 3 by 8 and now if I want to convert this 3 by 8 to percentage, we'll multiply it with 100. So with 8, this will be multiplied. So 3 into 12.5, it will be 37.5%. Clear about this? All right. Now let's take a question. Now see, चलिए पहले question से पहले what we will do. See, when it comes to percentage, we should know certain fractions value of percentage, right? Percentage and their fractional representation. If we know fractional representation of certain percentage values, the questions of percentage are going to become relatively easy because the calculation is going to become small, right? So what we will do, I will write some fractional value and their percentage equivalent. You will try to memorize them in the given time. For example, if I have a fraction value 1, right, the percentage equivalent of 1 will be 100%. Similarly, the percentage equivalent of fraction 1 by 2 is 50%. Right, if I have a fractional value 1 by 3, its percentage equivalent is 33.33% or 33 full 1 by 3%. This is a more commonly used form, 33 full 1 by 3%. Right, fractional representation 1 by 4, its percentage equivalent is 25%. Right, fractional value 1 by 5, its percentage equivalent is 20%. Fraction value 1 by 6, its percentage equivalent is 16.66%. or 16 full 2 by 3%. This is more commonly used form. The fractional percentage equivalent of 1 by 7 is 14.28% or 14 full 2 by 7%. This is the more commonly used. Okay. The fraction value 1 by 8, its percentage equivalent is 12.5% or 12 full 1 by 2%. Okay. 1 by 9, its fractional equivalent is 11 full 11.11% or 11 full 1 by 9%. Fractional value 1 by 10, its percentage equivalent is 10%. Fractional value 1 by 11, its percentage equivalent is 9.09% or 9 full 1 by 11. बस ये आपको याद होना चाहिए commonly. Now we have certain more percentage value. We should know their fractional equivalents also because these are more commonly used. For example, 75%, its fractional equivalent will be 3 by 4. 60%, its fractional equivalent will be 3 by 5. Okay. 45%, its fractional equivalent will be 9 by 20. 15%, its fractional equivalent will be 3 by 20. और कोई रह गया? हाँ बहुत. Right now, see, this is my question. 2 is what percentage of 50? What happens in percentage? We have few syntaxes. Syntax means a fixed rule, right? Fixed rule means that if it is fixed for me, it is fixed for examiner also. So what examiner is going to do, see, if examiner is ever going to ask me a question on syntax, right, he is going to use the same language, right? And that syntax is X is what percentage of Y. This is my syntax. X is what percentage of Y, right? So whenever I get a question based on this syntax, X is what percentage of Y, my equation will be X by Y into 100. The variable that is first will be in my numerator, the variable that is second will be in my denominator, and into 100. ठीक है, जैसे कि अगर बाई चांस मान लीजिए मैंने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा 50 is what percentage of, let's say 80. 50 is what percentage of 80? What percentage of 80? Right? Now just now we learned that our syntax is, क्या है हमारा syntax? X is what percentage of Y? X is what percentage of Y? And the equation was X upon Y into 100. Value of X here is 50. Value of Y is 80. So 50 by 80 into 100. ठीक है, ये कट गया, ये 8 से कट गया, 12.5 times 12.5 into this 60, 62.5%. ठीक है, understood? X is what percentage of Y? Equation क्या बनेगी? X by Y upon 100. Now see, if this is a syntax, what maximum change my examiner can bring in this syntax is he can reverse the language of the question, right? Syntax में ऐसा नहीं है कि as it is उठा के दे, but maximum इतना change कर सकता है examiner कि syntax की language को reverse कर दे. Now the same syntax he can ask me in a different language, what percentage of X is Y? Now I have second syntax, right? I have one more syntax that says what percentage of X is Y. See, he reversed the language of the question. And how do I know he reversed the language of the question? See, in my first syntax, X was present before what percentage keyword. Abhi X kahan hai? After what percentage keyword. Since my examiner has reversed the language of the question, what I will do? I'll reverse my equation. अगर examiner language को reverse करता है, हम अपनी equation को reverse कर देंगे. Our equation used to be X by Y into 100. इसका reverse क्या हो जाएगा? Y by X into 100. So if my examiner uses this language, what percentage of Y is X, right? Or what percentage of X is Y? The language will be, the equation will be Y by X into 100. The variable that will be second will now be in my numerator. The variable that is first will be in my denominator. वहां क्या होता था? First variable numerator में, second variable denominator में. अब language reverse हो गई तो second variable numerator में, first variable denominator, right? So it will be जैसे कि अगर एग्जांपल ले लें, what percentage of 50 is 80? Now my question is this, what percentage of 50 is 80, right? So हमने क्या syntax पढ़ा? What percentage of X is Y? Equation क्या बनती है? 80 upon 50 into 100. ये घटा 2 times कितना आया? Simple. ठीक है, let's write the third syntax. See, understand this very well. Before writing the third syntax, you have to understand this, that percentage is never negative. Percentage, the absolute value of percentage is never negative. आपने कभी -10%, -20%, -15% नहीं सुना होगा. See, to represent percentage in positive and negative form, we say percentage increase, percentage decrease. Increase मतलब positive percentage value, decrease मतलब negative percentage value, but the absolute value of percentage is never negative. So the third type of question that your examiner can ask you would be this: X is what percentage more or less than Y? X is what percentage more or less than Y? Now to solve this question, we will use equation modulus of x minus y upon y into 100. अब देखिए मॉडुलस फंक्शन मैंने क्यों लिया, बिकॉज मॉडुलस फंक्शन इज टेलिंग मी दैट परसेंटेज इज नेवर नेगेटिव, so I will always subtract the smaller value from the larger value. I will always subtract the smaller value from the larger value. देखिए दो अलग अलग इक्वेशन बनती है. मोर के लिए इक्वेशन बनेगी, अगर मुझसे ये पूछा जाए x is what percentage more than y, तो उस केस में मेरी इक्वेशन बनेगी x minus y upon y into 100. ठीक है, लेकिन अगर मुझसे पूछा जाए x is what percentage less than y, तो मेरी इक्वेशन क्या बनेगी y minus x upon y into 100. लेकिन वो दो अलग अलग इक्वेशन ना लिखने की बजाय मैं सिंपल उसको एक इक्वेशन में लिख दूंगा कि मॉडुलस ऑफ x माइनस वाई अपॉन y इंटू 100. दिस टेल्स मी कि सपोज इफ माय एग्जामिनर इज आस्किंग मी द वैल्यू मोर, आई विल ऑलवेज सब्ट्रैक्ट द स्मॉलर वैल्यू फ्रॉम द लार्जर वैल्यू. तो मोर के केस में आपको पॉजिटिव वैल्यू देखने को मिल जाती है, लेस के केस में नेगेटिव वैल्यू. लेकिन क्योंकि स्मॉलर में से आप स्मॉलर वैल्यू को हमेशा लार्जर में सब्ट्रैक्ट करेंगे, तो जो नेगेटिव परसेंटेज होगा वो भी आपका पॉजिटिव में ही दिखेगा. आप उसको डिक्रीज कह के डिनोट करेंगे, ठीक है, या लेस और मोर कह के डिनोट करते हैं. 10% मोर मींस प्लस 10%, 10% लेस मींस माइनस 10%. ठीक है, मोर और लेस से भी आप डिनोट कर सकते हैं. अंडरस्टूड?
अब एग्जाम की तैयारी को और बेहतर करने के लिए हमारे चैनल को लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें.